I'm joined now by my guest, who is an agribusiness expert in the person of Dr. AJISEFINNI Ayodegi. Thank you, Doctor, for joining us on the program today.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. And thank you for having me here today.
Thank you very much for coming on Business Daily this morning. I will just want to begin the conversation by getting, your feedback on the key findings of that report. That is the 2024 wet season agricultural performance survey. And part of the key findings states that about 54 hectares of farmland were lost due to pests and diseases, and about 17,000 hectares of farmland was destroyed by the 2024 floods. When you hear numbers or data such as this, what comes to your mind?
Well, what comes to my mind when I see something of this is we are in serious food crisis situation. And this will continue to maintain the cost of food in Nigeria. And this will lead to unemployment, which will invariably increase the criminal activity in the country. And these figures are just the minimum, that's not the maximum. That is the one we can cover on the statistics. There are some areas in the hinterland which are not well accessed, meaning that we have serious issues in the center of Africa, in Nigeria.
But again, this just goes to show the intensity of the damage that the floods across the nation has caused so far, because we are speaking about, the months so far in the year 2024. We still have 2 months to go. But I will want for you to speak regarding that, what these losses mean, for Nigeria's food security and what this means for Nigeria's agricultural economy. What does this translate to?
This figure directly, as I said, will affect the food production in Nigeria, because all the affected farmers, when you say 54,000 hectares, let's take, for example, these affected are for rice or for maize, where we are expecting minimum of 3 tons per hectare. That means that about 160 tons, 160,000 tons of food are lost. Same thing with the flood. It's a serious setback in the production of food in the year 2024. And this is a challenge to the agricultural economy of Nigeria that needs emergency intervention. It's a serious setback with that sector.
It is indeed a serious setback to the Nigerian agricultural economy, but today we are focusing on solutions. I mean, like they say, data never really does lie, and it's good we have these numbers to work with. But now, what is the solution moving forward? But first, let's go on a short break. When we return, my guest, who is an agribusiness expert, Dr. AJISEFINNI Ayodegi, will be joining us again, and we will be looking even further at solutions to the not too beautiful numbers or findings from the recent report released by the Ministry of Agriculture, that is the 2024 wet season agricultural performance survey. So do stay, we'll be back after the break. And you're still watching Business Daily, coming to you live on Trust Television. And just before the break, we started a conversation proper, and we are appraising the current 2024 wet season farming report as released by the Ministry of Agriculture. Let's just begin again by taking a look at some key findings from that report. And according to the performance survey, about 69% of Nigerian farmers are male, and 54,000 hectares of farmland were lost to pests and disease so far in the year 2024. Meanwhile, 17,000 hectares of farmland destroyed by 2024 floods, and some regions experienced up to 60% crop losses. Unfortunate numbers there being released. And fall armyworm infestation on maize affected 26 states. Insecurity severely affected states such as Borno State, Zamfara State, and Katsina State. And over 20,000 hectares of farmland were abandoned in Borno State due to insurgency. But I'm still joined by my guest today on the program, who is an agribusiness expert in the person of Dr. AJISEFINNI Ayodeji. Thank you again, Doctor, for coming on the program this morning. Okay, I'm not sure if you can hear me, Doctor. Can you hear me? Okay, Doctor, looking again at some data, we pointed out that about 54,000 hectares of farmland were lost to pests and disease. And I will want for us to speak regarding, pest control solutions, because 54,000, that's a huge number in my opinion. But what sustainable pest control measures would you recommend, to minimize such damage in the future? Oh, it seems as though we have lost our guest, Dr. AJISEFINNI Ayodeji. But while we try to have him rejoin us, I am, having a conversation on the recently released report by the Ministry of Agriculture that goes on to say that which is called the Nigeria 2024 Wet Season Farming Agricultural Performance Survey. And like I stated before, it just kind of, opened our eyes to the severity of the Nigerian current food situation and how this, in the long run, is expected to affect, the nation's agri-economy. And again, I'll just point out, some key findings from the report so far. And about 54,000 hectares of farmland were lost to pest and disease so far in the year 2024. Huge numbers in my opinion. And about 17,000 hectares of farmland have so far been destroyed due to floods. And some regions experienced up to 60% crop losses, and 60% is just, over 50% already, it should be a major challenge, but then 60%, that is a lot. And then armyworm infestation on maize affected 26 states. And we also did see that, according to the report, insecurity severely affected states such as Borno State, Zamfara State, and Katsina State, while over 20,000 hectares of farmland abandoned in Borno State due to insurgency. But let's go now on a short break. When we return, the conversation continues to stay. And thank you for still staying with us on Business Daily this morning. I still have my guest here with me, who is an agribusiness expert in the person of Dr. AJISEFINNI Ayodeji. Thank you again, Doctor, for joining us on the program. So continuing with our discussion this morning, I did point out that about 54,000 hectares of farmland were lost due to pest and disease. And since we are, about, finding solutions and ensuring that we kind of chart a path that would ensure that we don't have, situations like this reoccur, I thought it wise to ask, how or what sustainable pest control methods are out there that could be used by farmers, to minimize such damage reoccurring in the future.
The situation does not start from the application of pesticides or pest or disease control. It starts from the availability of the required pesticides and insecticides to control disease. High cost of these chemicals makes so many farmers to minimize the quantity they need to apply in each of their farms, because when the cost used to be something like less than 1,000 naira per bottle. Now it's above 1,000 and 2,000 per bottle. And the situation a farmer needs 5 and is using 1, 2, what do you expect? There will be breakout of this. That's one. Two, essential service is required during the land preparation. When we talk about pesticides and insecticides, there are so many things that needs to be done while the land is being, the preparation is going on. And this requires the service of the Ministry of Agri that has essential service officers. That is number two. Number three is now the application. So many farmers, when they are applying their pesticides or insecticides, instead of them spraying on the leaf, some of them are spraying on the root of the plant. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, we do. Go on.
The plant stands straight. Some of them, because of ignorance, they be spraying the roots and leave the plant. And when they are to apply liquid fertilizer, they will spray the leaf and leave the roots. That is where regular capacity building on pesticides needs to be done regularly.
You have emphasized on the high cost of, farm inputs such as fertilizers and the likes, pesticides and the likes. But let us speak about strategies that should be implemented to improve, farmers' accessibility to inputs such as pesticides and fertilizers at, a reduced price. What would those be?
You see, I've been clamoring and praying for this. The Ministry of Agri will bring their best, and we still want them to do more. By having a commodity farm input commodity committee that will support farmers in the subsidizing the cost of inputs. I said it and I'm repeating it. Farmers need subsidy in that input sector. For example, where you are expected to apply pesticides regularly, especially those that are doing vegetable farming. Immediately they harvest, they have to apply pesticides and fertilizer. And they don't have the funds to buy again because of the high cost. And this is because of the high cost of dollars, because some of these chemicals, the producers who are importing their own raw materials. Number two, armyworm we are talking about. Armyworm has been a disease that has been neglected for the past almost 10 years now. Maize farmers are suffering seriously to the level that some of them are using poisonous chemicals to fight armyworm, which invariably can lead to cancer in the maize they apply to. What do we need to do? We need research on how can we get this thing done. Armyworm is a disease that will not manifest until the maize is almost about 50 days on the farm, and it destroys the roots. We need regular capacity building, sensitization to farmers. Every week of germination of any crop, there must be a regular sensitization to farmers, especially the smallholder farmers that have the highest percentage of food production in Nigeria.
Well said, especially, your point on proper sensitization to farmers, especially smallholder farmers. But I will like for us to touch on, mechanization gaps as highlighted in the report that stated that only 22% of Nigerian farms are mechanized. What do you believe is the root cause of this mechanization gap? Because we're not just starting conversations around, embracing mechanization. What then is the root cause? And how can, agribusiness initiatives drive better mechanization in the sector here in Nigeria?
Thank you. that 20% I don't think is even correct.
Are you saying
that can avoid?
Are you saying that
how
the
many
numbers
farmers can
less?
afford to buy into our own tractor? It's not up to 20% of the farmers in Nigeria that are mechanized. Hello?
I can hear you. Go on. I mean, the report is saying 22%,
yes,
but you are insisting that it's not up to those numbers.
It's not up to 20%.
So we want to hear. We want to hear your thoughts regarding, you know, your not accepting the numbers as released by the report.
Because if 20% of the total percentage of farmers in Nigeria are mechanized, that belongs to the high percentage of the category of high-class farmers. Let's use that statement in MSME. Maybe the medium categories of farmers are those 20% they are talking about. But when we're talking about the real farmers, they are suffering, and that's why these diseases are affecting them. If they are able to get mechanized, how do I mean? Have technology that will spray, like drone, to apply their insecticide as a stand. Drone will be cannibalized to a level where it knows the level and where to apply it. It will not have this type of situation. And my recommendation appeal to the people concerned is how do we bring back Bank of Agri that is dominated as that have the mandate to support farmers. So also department which will go in partnership with some mechanized companies that are coming to Nigeria for assembling of farm machinery. And let's see how government can give windows to farmers, if not individual, maybe as an association or cooperative society, to apply for this mechanized equipment and mechanization equipment on least for a tenure not less than 5 years. So that the association will manage it and make sure the money goes back. This is business and not charity, where the government will release tractor and you will not find the tractor where it's supposed to be. Let them come on with a modality that will be palatable to cooperative societies under the association of the farmers. This will make farmers to belong to an association. Individual farmers cannot afford to buy 15 million naira a tractor with implement. Where did they get such a money from? But if they work in clusters, and that is why I'm appealing to farmers, let's form clusters for commercial farming. Let's go into commercial farming the way it should be done. That is why we can see benefits. When we are able to come as a cluster, whatever projects we make, we can now use it at our own private farms and provide what we need. This sector, this area needs period the engineering that the government and the agencies that are concerned. If we are able to get things, if we are able to get mechanized, the issue of pest and disease control will be minimized because everything will be used. We have boom sprayer. How many farmers have that boom sprayer that can cover 10, 5, 2, 3 hectares as a go? All what our farmers are using is manual knapsack. And you know what that means? For them to carry 20 liters at their back and be spraying manually at that. It does not give long life to farmers. Because if a farmer should carry a 20-liter knapsack at the back 4 times a day, and he does that almost every other week, you know what that means to our body? There is a time, let me leave it alone. God will deal with you, my friend.
Well explained, Dr. Ayodeji, well explained. Mechanization, like you rightly stated, will indeed, increase our output. But I will also like for you to speak regarding, the rising youth participation. The report states that about 69% of farmers are male, but that there has been an increase in youth participation, across Nigeria in the area of agriculture. I mean, that is, a welcome development in my my own humble opinion, regarding how not too many youths would gravitate towards agriculture normally. But how then can we as a nation further encourage our youth, especially those who have, the wrong perception of what it means to be a farmer or be, in the agribusiness field? How then can we encourage our youth and to, ensure that more youth find, this field as attractive as most older people find, the agribusiness field? How can the youth be encouraged?
Well, it's like you are reading my mind on what I was thinking and working on. Your statement is perfectly true. Who do you think, each of you, do you think wants to follow a situation or participate in a situation that is so risky? Look at flood, look at disease and other things. But we will not say because of that, we should discourage our youth. What I am working on as a case study to your question is what we call learn, earn, and pay. Let's get this our secondary school graduates. Let's bring them together for a 1 month mindset reorientation. Let's analyze the prospects, the challenges, and the benefits of going into agribusiness. And by so doing, let's create a good life environment where they will learn, they will earn, and pay for their tuition fee. Some organizations have started that at private level. Likewise, need to have started that. Bringing secondary school young people together, change their mindset towards agribusiness. That look, you are to be a food producer. And when we are doing this, we should start with a leather gestation product. A product that within 3 weeks, they can see it making money. And in so doing, for us to keep them together, we encourage them to go into the integrated part of it, whereby they will introduce little animal boundaries, little of poultry, little of fish farming, and vegetable farming. They will see the interconnectivities among the three. They know that weekly basis they will be making money from their vegetable farm to feed their poultry, and getting their poultry ready in 6 weeks, they will be able to feed their animals that will give them long-term investment or return. We need to make the business attractive to our youth. And who can do it? We cannot push it to government alone. We, the private practitioners, especially those of us that are in agribusiness capacity building, let's do this and encourage. And parents, let's start encouraging our youth. We are not discouraging them from having their first degree certificate. But Nigeria of today, a single stream cannot sustain anybody again. Let's go back to operation feed yourself. It is when you are able to produce your food, the excess is what you take to market and you do what? And sell to make money. We need to make a serious sensitization and word of encouragement, regular mentoring and counseling to our youth. Make it attractive to them, and we need to make funding available under the control of whoever is the team lead capacity building center that we do that project in collaboration with the federal government.
Well said. The role of capacity building and teaching and education cannot be overemphasized. But just before we go, the report also, called for urgent government intervention in certain areas, such as mechanization, pest control, and early warning systems. But in your opinion, what should the government's priority be out of these three, major areas? What would you say should be the area of focus, moving forward from the government, speaking of mechanization, pest control, and early warning systems?
One, as the government has started the implementation or giving opportunity for foreigners to come and have assembly plants in Nigeria. That's a very good strength. But having the assembly plants in Nigeria is not the ultimate. How will they be accessible to farmers, especially the smallholder farmers? What plans will government do? What policy will government bring? And the policy I will recommend or suggest to them is a higher purchase method based on cooperative society.
Well said, Doctor.
And let the farmers be responsible for the liability.
Well said.
Make them to have.
Thank you very much, Dr. AJISEFINNI Ayodeji, who is an agribusiness expert who has spent time, expatiating and appraising the current findings from the 2024 wet season agricultural performance survey as released by the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. Thank you very much, Doctor, for all the insights that you have shared with us in today's edition of the program.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And that's the much that we will be taking on Business Daily today. But keep the conversation going and let us hear what your thoughts are on the discourse for today. Reach out to us on, social media, across all of our social media platforms, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, and of course on TikTok. And we'll be there to respond to your messages. My name is Chiamaka Enendu. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.